All right. So we'll just start off. So I'm here with Cheyenne, owner of Forever Young Swimline. Tell us about like where you started out. Like, how did you get into that? Where did the journey begin?
That's a good question. I hate to be long-winded. That's why I asked you that to begin with. There is a story.
Yeah, let's hear the story.
So I grew up in California.
Okay.
And also Hawaii. After I graduated high school, I moved back to the mainland, also California. And 14 years ago, I moved out to Vegas, 15 years ago maybe. And I'm just used to, if I need a bikini, I could just go anywhere and find one. You know what I mean? Like they're on every corner and you shop. You can just find one between California and Hawaii. So when I moved out here, I was a single parent in a suburban dragging kids around looking for a bikini for spring break for both my daughter and I.
Yeah.
And I would literally have to go to the hotels, drag them through those hotels, and spend $300-$400 on a bikini.
Wow.
And I'll be honest with you, between the gas and my time, I felt like I was like, negating feeding my children versus buying a bikini. And all that to say that I went to Palm Springs without a bikini that year. And I told my daughter, I'm like, we'll find something out there, I'm sure. And when we did, I contacted the company. I was so happy. I was like, where do you sell these? And instead of sending me like their retailer list, I got their wholesale list. And I realized between the price point I was used to paying for a bikini and what they were in the middle, it occurred to me like,
there's a margin here.
Yeah, I was like, well, what? I was first mad. I was like, well, what are they making them for?
Yeah.
And not to say that they're all, that's all changed in the last 14 years since I've been doing this. But at the time, I think the industry was broken in that way. Nobody was out there for the actual consumer. It was all about, the retailer and their margins. And so what occurred to me was when I go on vacation, I don't want to wear the same bikini 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 days in a row. And by the time you come back, you're like, throw that guy in the trash.
Yeah.
I wanted to go out really and wear a different bikini every day. And so when I started the company, I started at a price point that was not around at the time. I mean, you just couldn't find bikinis what I was making them, and quality was always like my number one issue. So I wanted to find what I wanted in style at a price point I was comfortable in, and I wanted everything to be able to mix and match. So when I went on vacation, even if I only had maybe 4 pieces with me or 6 pieces with me, if they all mixed and matched every day, I felt like I had something different to wear.
Yeah, you got like.
And for that same $300, you had 6 styles or more. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And now, the world's a different place.
Yeah.
So the price points and all that kind of stuff, everything has changed so much since then.
Yeah, 14 years is a while to like, the world has changed in 14 years.
Yeah, we could all agree to that no matter what industry you're in. But really that's how it was. That's kind of was, I was looking for something I couldn't find. And then kind of felt like I was getting ripped off by the man, and I was like, "Well, I'm gonna be the man. I'm gonna be the man with the people." That's exactly right. So that's the story in a long-winded way.
That was
I
pretty
had a shorter
short
version, but that's the real deal.
That's pretty short. It was not
Okay.
long-winded.
Okay, cool.
For a podcast, because we got to fill the time. Well, typically it's like an hour, but
okay. I'll slow it down.
No, take your time. So you got into that, and now you're here, and kind of like, what's the landscape now? What are you kind of like excited about? What is like keep you going, and what drives you to like continue innovating in the swimwear market?
Those are all good questions, and you'll probably have to ask them 3 times. I'm gonna be like going off on tangents, but truthfully, we were kind of laughing about this before. The name of the company is Forever Young, and as I was in my early 30s starting the company, and I'm 46 now. And now I appreciate the name of the company more than I did even when in the beginning. Honestly, I heard the Jay-Z song, and I'm like, I have nothing else. So that was the name of the company. But now I feel like I live it.
Yeah.
I live the brand. I live the name. I'm a grandma. I'm a mother. I'm a lover of life.
Yeah.
Every day is an adventure for me. And I love that, and I love doing it in swimwear.
Yeah.
So what do I see going forward? Just enjoying my day.
Yeah.
And I try to incorporate, like for instance, in my hobbies that I do, I always say if I was in a bikini, here's the thing is, if I woke up in the morning before I had coffee and I had a bikini on, I'm absolutely sure it's going to be a really good day, And I can end up doing a lot of different things throughout that day, but I know that day is going to be a good day.
Yeah.
So my vision going forward is incorporating it into every part of life that I can, to make it transitional. So I hope to have a larger, expand on the line.
Yeah.
So it's not just swimwear, it's activewear and everything in between. Like I said, and as you know, I'm a hunter, and I'd like to kind of maybe do some some pieces for that, or for the girl who likes to be out on the boat fishing. And, I already do rash guards and hats and all that kind of stuff, but I just wanted to expand it so people can use it while they're living life.
Yeah. And so what would you consider a fulfilled life or a happy life?
A fulfilled life or a happy life? Look at it. It's right here. I could say, like I said, my cup runneth over. I am fulfilled and I am happy. I am in joy. I think the key to that for me has been finding balance between, doing what you have to do and doing what you love to do. Yeah. And it's really easy. We all know what we love. Well, I think most people do. Do you?
Yeah. I love making content.
If you know what you love, and you try to make sure you can incorporate that into your daily life, and you're double blessed, if you can consider work the same as what you love doing. Yeah. And so I have that benefit. So I love my family. I love my kids. I live for them. Yeah. They've been a big part of this company. Yeah. My daughter's 26, and she grew up in the warehouse and watched it all grow when she was a young teenager. Yeah, it was fun. My boys have all worked for me. So it's been fun to incorporate family with work, but then take work on the road, on awesome travels, and do awesome shoots and fun things like that with them. Yeah. So I don't even know how I could be more blessed and lucky. I really don't.
That's amazing.
I really truly
do. You ever? For me, I'm still a young man, and have a lot of young man ambitions, and and I love making videos. I love making content. I love taking photos. All that is where this career started, and then it's kind of transitioned into it is a job and it is a business, and I have a lot of moving parts to it, and sometimes it's hard to my wife's this is a funny story. Okay. She told me to get a hobby. She's do something else besides work. And even though I don't think of this as work, it is work, and I'm doing it a lot. Yeah. And so I was like, okay, cool. So I bought this electric dirt bike. It was badass. Yeah. And so second I bought it, I went out to St. George to get it. Okay. This was 2 months ago. My toe's still messed up from the story. So,
oh, no.
So go out to St. George. I give the guy the cash, and I'm I rode dirt bikes my whole life, so I'm popping a wheelie, thinking I'm cool, and then. It's electric, so it's different than a gas, and I've never ridden an electric bike. So I'm popping a wheelie, and I'm going fast down this hill, and I'm boom, and I looped it over, and I scarred my hands and my side, and I broke my toe. And this was the second I got it. So I got home, and I was this was what am I supposed to do? All my hobbies are last year I broke my wrist skateboarding, and I'm I don't even know what.
The guy's you're for sure buying this. You're taking that home.
See ya. No, and then so I got it home, and then I rode around for a few weeks, and I was grew some resentment towards it, and I sold it.
Oh, did you? Really? It's gone already?
Yeah, I sold it. See ya. I sold it.
Oh my gosh! Well, I'm sorry. So maybe that wasn't.
So it's not I don't know what other hobby. My wife's pick up golf. I was I feel that's an old man thing, but maybe it could be fun.
Well, it might be something you start as a young man, and you don't have to worry too much about it. But one day when you're not moving as quick and as swift, you'd be get out the old clubs. That's kind of why I golf a little bit. Yeah. I'm not good at it, but I can go out with the girls and have fun. But I do it for that reason. Because I'm one day I'm going to be old, and it's all I'm going to be able to do.
So might as well get you're good at it now.
Yeah, try to learn it now, get my skills, and then, they say, it's riding a bike. Hopefully golf is the same. I'll be, old and just, swinging. Yeah.
So have you ever experienced, that level of, kind of, I don't know, resemblance in your life where, it's blended, your passion to, your work, and then you had to, navigate that? I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm asking for advice.
Yeah, absolutely. So blending your passion with work and then trying to keep that balance. Mm-hmm. I think that as humans, we all do this. We all here's the line of balance, right? And we sway, and we have a little bit too much more fun, and then we do a little too much more work, and then you're so walking that line, I think is hard for all of us. But as long as we can catch ourselves, and put us back on that path, okay, I'm overdoing it. Your wife is hey, you know what I mean?
No more popping wheelies.
At least you have somebody to tap you on the shoulder, because I can just get completely out of control. You know what I mean? No, I always come back. My kids get me back to the middle. But I don't know what the trick is, with the exception of knowing that when you're on path and when you're not, right? And finding your way back to it. I don't know, frankly, what I would do if I didn't have the hobbies that I have, because they do, for me, like I said again, I enjoy small game hunting. And when you're out there, the reason I do this, and so maybe this will play into the answer, the reason I do is when I'm out there, everything else melts away. I'm not worried about my kids. I'm not worried about work. I'm like, all my sensors are fired.
Yeah.
You know, you're out, you're like, you know, we do like a stock type of hunt more than any other. So you're always on the lookout, and you're glassing, and you're just on fire with your senses, looking at the task at hand.
Just like fully immersed in the moment.
Yeah, and everything goes away, and then the shots go off, and you get your birds, or you get, you know, whatever it is that you're hunting for, or that target is met. And then everybody's kind of like celebrating and talking about the moment. You ever been in a car accident? And everyone's like, what just happened? And you're talking about it, like everyone's sharing the experience. It's the same way once you're for me in hunting. And then you have that friendship and those bonds and those memories. And so it's just, I work over a dog that I trained, and that's incredible in itself. But so I love it because I get lost in it, but I can only do it so much at a time.
Right.
And I have to refocus back on work. So I don't know if there's something that we all need to find, and maybe it is that thing that you're not pressured to do, but like, I just got to go out and kill some time and get out of the house, but something that you can get lost in. Yeah, if there's something that you can get lost in, I would think that could kind of like help you.
Yeah.
Help you balance.
So
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Does that play into swimwear at all?
Yeah, no. That's what a podcast is.
Yeah.
I think for me, what I love podcasts is I try to like just glean as much like information from like whoever's on the other side, because every person's like a whole entire universe, and like I don't even know what I don't know, and so I'm like on the lifelong quest to like absorb as much information as I can. And so like there's 100% a million things that you know about like life that I've never known or learned. So if I could like somehow trigger and ask the right questions, and I could gain a little bit of that information from somebody else's experience, like that's invaluable to me. So I'm really always like trying to absorb as much information as I can.
I so appreciate that, and I think we're cut from the same cloth that way. I do. Like, I love old people. I do. I was so weird. Like, before I had my third child, I have 4, but before I thought it was like 2 and we're done. I took like a year, and I interviewed every old person I could. Like, how many kids do you have? Are you happy? Would you have more? Did you have too many? Did you wish you didn't have any? Like any question I can ask. Yeah. And I'll tell you, at the end of that year, when I was like, I'm up against my line now, I have to make the decision. The answer from every person across the board, 100%. As an older person who had, you know, kids and grandkids and whatever, not in the middle of it, but like older, looking back on life, 100%, said I wish I would have had 1 more.
Really?
I know. Does that give you chills?
Wow. Yeah.
So I had 4.
Well, so a question is, I have a 3-year-old girl right now, and I've been married with my wife. We've been together for 6 years and married for 3. And she's like pretty adamant about not having any more kids, just because of the balance. Like, she has her own business and we have a business, and so we're like at the stage where she's kind of like stabilizing and having a little bit more of her time back, and so she doesn't want to go back into the middle. How did you navigate that?
Yeah, I get that. So when my daughter was 3, and I knew I was going to have, my daughter's my oldest, so I knew I was going to have 2 no matter what. So my daughter was 3, and I was like, shoot, we got to do this right now, or get going on this, because the gap's getting big, right? And it was so nice. Same thing. I felt the same way. I was like, it's so nice. If you say, go get your shoes, they can get their shoes. Yeah. Like, this is great. Like, life's getting easier. Would I really want to complicate it? Yeah. But it's going to be to each their own, and certainly there are people that are happy having no kids. So, you know, whatever floats your boat, I fully support that. But I recall thinking this to myself. One time I was in a store, not to judge, but the mom or the child of the situation, I don't remember exactly, but the poor mom was like having to drag a child out. I don't know what the kid did. I don't know if the mom was having a bad day. Like, it doesn't really matter. The problem was, it was really sad to see, and neither of them were happy. They were both miserable, making each other miserable. And I thought to myself, like, I don't want to be that parent. Like, I just wanted to like enjoy my kid's childhood. And like I said, I don't know the circumstances before that, and I wasn't judging the parent or the child. I just didn't want that life. And so for me, when I went to go have, continue on to go on to child number 2 and 3 and 4, I made my gaps larger intentionally because I thought each of my children deserved my time patiently. And so my kids are 4 years, 5 years, and then 6 years apart.
Oh, wow.
So while I have a 26-year-old with a grandson, I also have an 11-year-old at home still.
Oh, wow.
So I really expanded my, but I think the best of all the things I do in life, of whatever skills and talents I have, I think being a mom is my greatest talent. And so for me, widening that gap I knew would give me like the patience to be an attentive mom.
Yeah.
And not a doting like helicopter mom. I'm not saying that, but like just to appreciate where the kid's at in life without being pulled in too many directions. So for me, and this isn't going to be for everybody, for me, it worked that I had a gap. Like my daughter has, he's going to be 10 months on the 28th. I think she wants to do hers have a second one closer together. Yeah. And that's what works for them, and that's great. And I can't wait. Like, yay me. But for me, because also I was always a business owner and, you know, a young mom at that, I just needed a bigger gap so I could just be more attentive to each child. That's how I worked best as a mom. But like, let's just talk about like a teacher, for instance, with a classroom full of kids. Not every kid is going to need to be taught in the same way, or a coach who's coaching a team. If you've ever coached Little League or anything like that, you'll know that, you know, talking to a child, you have to do it all differently. So it also depends on, too, like, you know, the child. Like, do they have needs that another one might not? And how big is that gap? So I don't know. That's all I can say about that. There's no right or wrong, but you can feel your way through it.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I definitely want more kids. We'll see how it plays out. But her family, they has 4 siblings, and they have big gaps too. Like my wife is 30, and then her oldest sister is like 44. Okay. So like there was like a big gap.
Did that work for them?
Yeah. I mean, everybody seems happy. I mean, I don't know.
Like they hate each other.
It seems all right. So that's like they didn't have their second child. There was like a 7-year gap. So it's like I feel like in her mind, like she's like, we got a lot of time. And it's cool too. Like, you know, there's no right or wrong way to do life.
Oh my gosh. No, there's no one way, that's for sure. Well, I'll tell you what, my older children have so thoroughly enjoyed being the older siblings too, and having still young ones in the house. Like, I don't, you know, like for Christmas, for instance. And making that special and doing for the younger ones that what I was able to do for them. Like, they get a complete joy and kick out of it. And my sister, it's funny you say that, because my sister is, I think, 11 years younger than me.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but I have 2 older brothers, and we're all 2 years apart, and my mom had one more a little later in life, and we're all tight, and my kids could not be closer as siblings despite their age gaps.
Yeah, and I think that that's important to have siblings, because like no one likes to think about like the end of the road, but like the end of the road will come. Like, you know, we all gotta pay the due, you know, and so like you don't want to leave them alone. Like I would feel terrible like if we, you know, are old and we pass and she's just like by herself, like left in the world. Yeah, you want to have somebody like that you grew with that like accompany you through life. I would imagine, you know.
I agree.
So I have siblings. I have 2 sisters. Like one's a stepsister or a half sister, and then I also grew up with my 2 cousins who were like we grew up like together, same like household, brothers. And so it's almost like the same. So I feel like I have a lot of siblings, and we're pretty close. We're a little different, like not as close now because of I feel like. You ever outgrow family? Like, you just can't spend time with them?
That happens. Yeah, you can't pick them always. And you're like, the time is like, I love you in this, like, portion of a holiday. And then, like,
I got to spend this much time because I can't get sucked into the energy. And I have a lot of stuff going on. I can't, and now especially with my own family, you know, and I feel like I love that I have a family because, you know, nowadays a lot of people, like in Japan, my wife's family moved to Japan. And so we spent a month in Japan this year. It was awesome. I've never been out there, so it was an incredible experience. And out there, the government is like pushing people to have children because no one's having children. So they're like incentivizing in every type of work. I don't know. I think it's just like, I don't know. I think it's like a bigger like social problem as like current generation. And this is like maybe way deep, but like I think that from my perspective, I think that young men don't want to like grow up and be men because like they got video games and porn and they don't need to like have any responsibilities, and it's a lot easier to just do that and like whatever. And so like it's no one's like kind of there's not the same stigma to like be a strong man and like that is, you know, because like in the like previous like there was wars like World War I, World War II, Vietnam, like things that like men were like let's go be a strong man and even though like, you know, like everything going on, there's like no right or wrong, but like I think that a strong man is like the foundation of a family, and so like without strong men there's no like unit, and so if there's no strong man there's no like units of force, and then
Yeah.
everyone's more like lost and like, you know, not
Yeah.
like held together, and there's a lot of broken homes. And so that's what I think. I mean,
Yeah.
again, I don't
Right.
know what I don't know, but just
Right.
based on I read a lot, and that's
Yeah, yeah.
so-
I find that fascinating, especially because I mean, I think we're experiencing that here in the U.S. just
Yeah.
as much as what you saw or picked up in Japan. I find it fascinating, and I totally agree. I mean, these kids now, I call them kids.
Yeah, I mean, they are.
But it's like video games, no pressure, stay at home with mommy, or, you know, go like, you know, take on responsibility for
Yeah.
other life.
Yeah.
like I can see them going like, yeah, I'm going to put my feet up. And
Yeah, it's all good. I mean, Eric Stinson, he's here. He's just like kind of interning around, so he might be in and out sometime today. We might catch him. But anyways, he has a son, and he's 36, and he's kind of like in that situation, just like earns like minimum wage and stays at home and like smokes weed and drinks and plays video games and stuff. And like, there's no right or wrong way to experience life, I think, right? But like, I feel personally, I'm 34, and I just wanted more, you know what I mean? And I grew up in poverty, and so like I just wanted not that, like, you know? And so I changed everything in order to create a good life for myself and my family. But not everybody has that desire. And so like, and I think because of like times have been so good for so long in America, you know, especially like there is this generation of like comfort, like there's no, like there hasn't been any wars, there hasn't been a like strong like need to, you know, get out and do stuff, and so people are just chilling, and that's like a byproduct of our current society.
I think it's missing, and as a woman, I'm gonna look into the camera and say, you know what women want? They want men, okay, that are real men. No, in all honesty, I think that I don't know how to say it, but I'm not, like, it's hard for me to date. I'm a single mom. And for that reason, it's like, I could provide, I don't need that. I'm happy with where I'm in, so I'm not like longing for a relationship. At the same time, like, you can't come into my life and then just have like dump a bag of shit. Like, you know what I mean? We either like, you know, both help each other up and lift each other up. Like, you can have problems, and I could have problems and issues, and we'll work on them together. But it doesn't seem that, like, if for a woman, safety. And how do you feel? How do you make a woman feel safe? I feel safe on my own. I provide for my children, and I keep my doors locked, and I could, you know, protect us. But you could make a woman also feel safe in other ways, you know, just, you know, through your integrity, through your honesty, for showing up, for being a man of your word. I think there used to be that old saying, you're only as good as your word. That's gone. Remember that old thing about a handshake? You know what I mean? Like, people used to do deals on handshakes and be honest and
hold it in integrity.
And that kind of stuff is gone. And I think when you find somebody, or you have somebody in your life that brings that to the table, and you don't have to like second guess or worry, just that adds to the security. So when I say safety, I mean it in security in all ways. Please be able to manage your own shit and pay your bills. That's all really nice. But I would like to see somebody come to the table with more than just like money, and then, you know, you don't stand for anything. You know,
I think like you're saying, emotional security, safety, and that's like something that you need to be able to like learn. Me and my wife were having this conversation yesterday, actually. It's like, it's a skill that you have to develop to be able to like listen and put your guard down and like let them feel validated and feel heard and understood from their perspective. Like, because I used to think like that's a silly thing to get upset about, or that's silly like to get worked up about. But in her mind and through her experience, like that's a very valid situation. And so understanding and putting yourself in that perspective of like, that might be silly to me, but like it's a real like valid thing for her, and like understand and give her that, like give her the validity, like and accept that, like, okay, that's serious and valid for you, like I will act in like around, like, you know, I will respond to that in that manner, like, you know.
And the same thing goes for women. It's like we were saying, what's missing, I think, from the man's perspective in like life, like, you know what I mean, to stand up, to be a man, like the old, for me, I like it, the old school man. I mean, I don't want to be, you know, like weird about it, like, or I'm old fashioned, you know, I'm older, but women too, like what's our role? For you to hear your wife
Yeah.
and say, this is what's important to me. Well, you're letting her be in her space too.
Right.
That feminine space,
Right,
you know?
right.
And just as much as we want the man to be in the masculine space, let's bring it back.
Yeah.
Let's
No,
bring
I
all that
think
back.
that's-
I don't think there's anything wrong with those.
I think there is a place, right? Like that you need to have the feminine energy that empowers like the masculine energy, and then the masculine energy like is secure and like, you know, and I think that it's necessary. And I think that there's a lot of like, now there's so much information and so many people and so much stuff to say that anyone could validate their like own opinion. And so like, so the narratives have changed, and like not everyone believes that that's like the way it has to be or is supposed to be. And then I think women are forced to be more masculine, like you're saying, like provide for themselves, do their own business, do things. And then there's nothing wrong with that.
Well, we don't always want to.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. Like,
just
yeah.
because we can doesn't mean we always want to. So step up.
Yeah, I
Come
know,
on, play.
right? No, I agree. I
Yeah.
agree. I
But
think,
at the same time, I have no problem pulling off my man's shoes and saying, "Did you have a hard day?" Like that gives me pleasure.
Right.
I feel joy
Yeah.
in making somebody else comfortable, and
Right.
if that's considered to be like, you know, minimizing a woman, well, like minimize me. I don't. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I still get joy from it. So,
Yeah.
and I, you know, to like go full circle on what we were talking about, like that's when you know you're doing what you love. Like, are
Yeah.
you getting joy out of it as well?
Yeah, and it's energizing, right? Like me and my wife have the conversation of like, we're most powerful when we're together. Like our energies are
that.
going in the same direction, because like if and we still have our own life, right? Like when she has her ideas and her projects and she's going in this direction, like it's gonna work, and I have my projects and I'm going in this direction, it's gonna work. But if we like tackle both situations
Absolutely.
together, like with my strength in sales and like advertising and whatever I do, it helps that project project further. And then when she helps me with, dude, she's amazing at systems, and like setting up like systems is her freaking godsend.
Yeah.
So she'll help me set up the
that's
systems
amazing.
and like drive it this way. And so when we push together on both things instead of separately on projects, they go further faster. But the trick is like getting bought into each other's ideas,
Right.
like and doing it, like going all in on each other's ideas. So she has to sell me, I have to sell her, and we have to like finesse each other to like do each project, you know?
But when you're in it, mind and heart together, you guys can go so much further.
It's for, yeah.
Absolutely. I've always said you're only as strong as your team. So
Right.
the fact that you have an amazing wife and she has you, you
Yeah.
guys sound like you guys work really good together. What a blessing.
It's lucky.
Yeah.
I'm lucky. And
How'd
also
you guys meet?
at a photo shoot. So like she was like a model, and they actually reached out to me to be a model. I was still doing photography or whatever, but some like a model bailed out, and I went in and I was the model, and like she was just like all by herself, and no one was talking to her, and she was beautiful. I was like, oh my god, no one's talking to this girl. Like, what? Don't mind if I do, like, you know. So I like totally approached her, and then she turned me down like 3 times. Like, so we became
Good.
friends,
Yeah,
and we were friends for a while,
Yeah.
like 4 to 6 months, which is a long time in today's day and age, you know. And I tried to kiss her 3 separate times, and she turned me down.
What'd she do? Like hit the cheek?
She's just
or
like,
what?
yeah, like totally like, and I was like, all right. I
Ladies,
guess
are you listening? This is how you get a man to chase you. Let
Yeah, for real. And then it worked
me
out.
write this shit down.
Yeah. Nope. Try again. And it's like that old like TLC song, like dust yourself off and try again.
Yeah.
Like,
And you just kept going at it, and look at it works.
Yeah, and it worked.
And a lesson for the men.
Yeah. Well, and too, I think a real like big thing that's like helped us, and we're still young, we're only
Yeah.
6 years into
Yeah.
it, you know, but like we develop, like we read a lot. Like she reads a lot intentionally in like relationship things, raising children, whatever.
Yeah.
I read a lot about business, like the
Yeah.
universe, whatever. Like,
Yeah.
so we're like both progressing our minds and developing, and like this is what I was telling her yesterday, is she's like, you don't even never read one relationship book. And I was like, well, you read them and then you tell me about them, and like I'm still reading other stuff,
Give
and
me
so
the
my
cliff notes.
mind is more expanded, so I
Yeah.
can hear what you're saying, and I'm learning it through you telling me. And
Yeah,
she's like,
yeah,
well,
yeah.
that's true.
Yeah,
So
there you go. Why are we the same
you
boat?
know,
Yeah, you help each other out.
Yeah.
And you like propel that much faster.
100%. So I
love
think
it.
self-development is big, because like
Huge.
you know, people have their own baggage, and then they don't know how to deal with their own baggage, and then they're dealing with each other, and like through like that traumatic experience, and then they create like resentment, and then it like, you know, kind of like
Yeah.
bounces off. And so
Absolutely.
like I think learning about yourself and developing and expanding and knowing that you don't know anything, or just like a
Yeah.
little
Yeah.
grain of sand in like the infinite universe, and
Right.
and then you could work through your trauma a little bit better. So like
I
not
agree.
everybody does that.
No, I agree. And have you ever seen the relationship or been in one maybe before you were married where you're like actually two peas in a pod, but one has growth and one's kind of like, I'm happy where I'm at. Like,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? And then one outgrows the other.
Right.
So you don't really want to do that. But
Yeah.
besides that point,
Right.
like why would we not? I mean, we have a life to live and you only get one.
Mm-hmm.
And I think we can expand and grow all the way up till the end.
100%.
Or might as well be a vegetable. Or
Yeah.
like, why have a brain and a heart?
I
You know what I
think
mean?
there's like so much life to experience.
Yeah.
Like, and even if you tried to experience all of life, like go every single place, absorb every culture, like I don't think you could. It's like there's so much. Meet every single person, learn every single thing. It's
Right.
impossible.
Right,
So it's
yeah.
like, why not try to like, just absorb everything, expand your consciousness. I think you should relish in all the like luxuries of life because like you should. Like we're humans, we're powerful creatures, and so like to be limited to like a little trap like life, like why would you do that? You know? But I think for me, the key to that life is like discipline, and so you have to be disciplined in your life to
Can
be
you
able to
repeat
create
that? I need more of that in my life right now.
Yeah, for
was
me,
just-
I mean, I don't know
just
what
kidding.
works for other people, but for me, like
you
being
have to.
disciplined.
Yeah, no,
is
that's
what
part of the
creates
balance.
that.
I
Yeah.
agree. I say it in my way, you say it in yours.
Yeah, well, I mean, and you're obviously extremely disciplined because you're in phenomenal shape. So that takes a lot of
thank you.
discipline
Thank
to
you, thank
maintain that
Thank you.
regimen.
Yeah, I've been having fun. And to go back to the beginning, like the name of the company, Forever Young, I really try to live it. I really do.
Yeah.
Try to. I was doing something that I used to love as a kid. I used to play softball growing up through high school, and then like I did like an adult league, and I was like, ooh, that should hurt. I was like, in my mind I was going somewhere, but my body didn't do it. So I was like, we all have that moment as you're getting
Dirt
older.
bikes, like skateboarding, don't do that anymore.
So I was like, I gotta keep going, and I started to notice too, like, because I used to be a big workout fiend, and then I stopped like right after the pandemic for probably like 2 years.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and I would get up in the morning, and I'm saying this to hopefully to inspire somebody, but like my ankles would hurt, and like my joints were hurting, and I'm like, dang, like I was that person get out of bed having to walk slow to begin with.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you, since I got back into my routine and started working out again, which has been a couple years now again, all that's gone.
Yeah.
I didn't do anything different besides just keep my body moving and
Do you take
taking
any
care
like
of myself.
supplements? Like
That's a good question. I'm really just like a really good. I like to eat. So
Yeah.
I eat a lot. So like large portions. But as far as the supplements go, like I try to get everything from my food.
Yeah, that's the best
I do
way.
like a pre-workout powder. And I'm a high caffeine person, so
those two.
yeah, I do a pre-workout powder, and then when I'm done, it's like a reboost or reload for to repair muscle. I take some stuff from my gut.
Yeah.
And then when I put that in, I also use it's like a veggie powder.
Yeah.
So, but I also eat like good. Like
Yeah, you have to eat
an
really
example,
clean.
like this morning, like I had like it looks like toast, but it's cauliflower. And then I make it like French toast, dip it in eggs on both sides. So it's like a ton. And then I put it in the broiler with a bunch of vegetables on top. I don't do that every day. I mean,
Yeah.
I still like my cookies.
Yeah.
But if I eat clean and good,
Yeah.
then I don't mind having the cookie too. And
Yeah.
I'm like I'm talking, I had like a plate this big. Like my whole plate was full.
Yeah.
So when I say I eat large portions, I eat large
Yeah.
portions.
But
as
it's
much as I
like
want.
clean, like
Yeah.
protein.
Tons of steak, tons of chicken. I do.
Yeah.
I'm like that girl, the high protein, low carb
Yeah.
girl. But it works for me.
Yeah,
And
I
I'm
mean,
not
we-
starving myself.
Yeah, we
I'm
have a
eating
very
all the
similar
time.
diet.
Yeah.
But I don't take my joints too, my knees, and I feel like I'm young. Well, and I broke my foot and my other toe. So like maybe
doesn't
that has
help.
to do.
That doesn't
Yeah.
help. Yeah,
So
yeah.
I take collagen, and that helps.
Oh, I do add that.
Yeah,
And I do
that
my
helps.
pre-workout part. I put a
Yeah.
scoop of collagen,
Yeah.
and then I put the gut and the other one. So I put a couple things in my shaker before I go to the workout every day, and I
Yeah.
feel like I'm getting like
Yeah.
everything I need. But I don't like really take vitamins. I'm not
Yeah.
I don't like the
Popping a
pills
bunch
so
of
much.
pills, yeah.
Yeah.
No, I think that's right though. Like eating healthy, eating organic, clean, like because
Mm-hmm.
most people don't eat that diet, which is crazy to me. But same, like my wife again is so adamant about all the ingredients and everything
Mm-hmm.
we have. And I mean, maybe it's a little more pricey. I don't know, but we spend a
Yeah.
lot of money in we spend like
Right.
$350 to $400 a week in groceries.
Yeah, it's crazy.
And it's just three of us, just the 3-year-old, me and her. But like
I know. It's one of my bigger
grass-fed
bills.
beef, but like
yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
It's okay.
But you're doing yourself a favor.
Yeah,
I
and you
mean,
keep like in good shape,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
I exercise every day, but not like I should go harder. But it
Yeah.
keeps me in a
Yeah.
good regimen. I
Yeah.
feel healthy and strong.
That's good.
Because I have to be strong for the girl. She's getting heavier. I'm like, oh, you're getting heavier. I got to get big, strong.
Right? Yeah.
So-
No kidding. It's so weird. All of a sudden they like pass you up and they are stronger than you. You're like, geez, oh.
I was telling my
Yeah.
wife that. I was like, isn't it going to be crazy when she could like do stuff that we can't do? Like right now, I'm
Yeah.
like, I could beat her any game. But when she starts doing like
Yeah.
gymnastics
Yeah.
or something, flipping,
Yeah.
and I can't
Yeah.
do that,
Can't do it.
it's going to be a trip.
Oh my gosh, I say it every day. Like there's just so many milestones along the way. You guys are in for such a ride. And it's funny, people always ask me, well, because you have kids that are like young up to like older, and now you have a grandchild. Like, what's the best phase?
Yeah.
Oh, I can't pick.
Yeah, every
because
part's
they're
amazing.
so special. Like I love the baby phase, and they're so cute and everything. And then it's great when their personalities start developing.
Yeah.
But I know a lot of people would disagree with me. I loved my kids as teenage years. Isn't that weird? I know people are like, oh god, they were little assholes, and I was like, personally, they were like my little besties. In a sense that I was still their mom.
Yeah.
Like, and sometimes they get mad at me. I'm like, good. And that was be my answer.
Yeah.
Like, if you're mad at me, I know I'm doing my job.
Right.
Go in your room. Bye.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
yeah.
But it didn't ever take away from the joy and all the moments that we would have that would just like, they'd blow my mind. Either
Yeah.
something that they were doing would just be like, oh, I can't believe you can do that now, to circle
Yeah.
back around on what we're saying, to just like making me laugh and having
Yeah.
watch them be like the little young men and women that they
Yeah.
grow into. Yeah, it's really cool.
It's kind of crazy.
Such a journey.
It's been the craziest
Yeah.
thing. I say that to Tay. He was here yesterday. The craziest thing I've seen
Yeah.
so far is like
Yeah.
seeing a little human grow up. It's
Yeah.
like the craziest thing
Yeah.
I've ever seen.
Yeah, they're little
That's like-
personalities. And you know what's funny? You can be the same mom, same dad, have a couple kids, and they're all so different. Like they
Do the
don't come
same
out in a little
thing.
mold because
Yeah.
it's just the same two parents. Like their personalities are all different despite the same environment and same
Yeah.
parents.
That's
so
wild.
it's a real joy.
Yeah.
Yeah, just to watch them grow. Mhm.
So let's pivot a little bit.
Okay.
What do you think has been the most valuable lesson you've learned in your life?
The most valuable lesson. I feel like we wanted to pivot, but I'm going to go back to what we were just talking about.
It's the same.
Yeah. My mom didn't have much when she was raising us, but she gave us all of her. So we were like lower middle class kids. I mean, if we needed it, she made sure we had it, but we always knew she was having trouble paying the bills, that kind of stuff. But
Yeah.
we were never short on love.
Yeah.
Ever short on love. Like if we ever had a problem, we can go to our mom. I mean, she was incredible. And when I said like the best thing that I do, of all the skills and all the talent and all the shit I've done in my life, being a mom is it. That's my greatest lesson, and I learned it from my mother. So I would say that. Outside of that, if I want to go into the work world, something like in business, for me, I can only say that where I am now was a development of everything I've ever and always everything I've done. So when I was out of high school, I was a hairdresser. And I was a hairdresser for probably 5 years, and at a great salon in Redondo Beach, California. I like didn't deserve to even be there. Like I was like, well, I was like nervous. I was like, what do they call that? Imposter syndrome.
Oh, yeah.
And that taught me to work with people, and I had the gift of the gab at that time. I can do anybody, and there'd be problem clients in other people's chairs, and then the owner of the salon would give them to me because I can get them through the process and get them out happy. And then from there, I got into real estate on an accident because I was trying to get my family from one neighborhood to the next. And the real estate agent came over and they're like, yeah, it's going to be $30,000 in fees. And I was like, well, I'll need that. So I was like, I'll just like for sale by owner, but I went through the whole process of learning how to sell my house the proper way before I actually ventured into it. And then my mom was like, well, Cheyenne, if you figured out how to do that, you can sell your own house. Why don't you just sell houses for friends? And then almost 10 years later, I was like, it girl in the real estate world. So I did that for a long
California?
time. In California. But that prepared, I feel like as a hairdresser, so then I was like, I can't even do hair anymore because I'm losing money. Like, I have to sell houses.
Yeah.
So I had to quit that job to do the other one full time. And that taught me so much, but I don't think I would have been prepared had I not been that hairdresser first. And there's no relationship there.
Right.
But just working with people.
To develop the
I think,
skill.
yeah. And then I did that for almost, about a decade. And then when I ended up in my divorce and I moved out here to Nevada, I told my kids, we're going to date 1 year. I'm not sure if we're going to stay, if we're going to like it, but we'll give it a year. And then at the end of the year, we'll decide what we're going to do.
What year was that?
2011.
Oh, okay.
And I didn't know career-wise if I didn't really want to do real estate anymore. And I had left California, so my clientele was gone. I didn't have the name here. So I was like, I'm not going to just dive back into real estate
build
and
it
see
all
it.
over.
Anyways, the whole thing with swimwear happened organically. I told you the story. We were going to go to Palm Springs. I couldn't find swimwear. So I ended up starting that business,
Yeah.
and we've never looked back. But now think about that. I had a career in real estate for almost 10 years. And that taught me sales and marketing. That taught me cold calling. And how does that transfer into swimwear or this industry?
Right.
Well, I wasn't doing it the way everybody else was doing it when I started. And I was going through the phone book, because that's what I had to do as a real estate agent, and calling boutiques.
Yeah.
Hey, yeah, you have a sample for you. And, and I just went through this whole process
Right.
with boutiques and selling myself like I did when I was in real estate. And it was, put the boots on, hit the streets
It's an
style
amazing
of
skill.
sales.
Yeah.
And I got that from real estate.
Yeah.
And so my I guess thing or lesson I would learn is know that whatever you're involved in right now is for a greater reason down the line, and you're developing
Wow.
as you should be, and you may not know why or how you're going to use this skill down the road, but you will. And when you look back, you'll kind of laugh at it and go like, I didn't know I was preparing myself for this. That's what.
That's amazing.
Yeah, that's what I
wow,
would say.
that's an incredible skill. That's amazing.
Yeah.
I learned similar door-to-door sales, like solar. One of my clients is upstairs sometimes. They might pop in. I just hear them leaving their meeting. But I learned door-to-door sales. So, like, knocking on a door, like, just going to any neighborhood, knocking on a door, like, hey, do you want solar? Or what? That's what I was selling at the time. And
I think you came to my house.
probably.
I think I
They're out
recognize
there.
you now that you say that.
Maybe.
Yeah.
This was in 2019,
Yeah.
so you were here.
Yeah.
So, but that, I did that as a job, right? Like the camera business was slow. I did it, and then I was like, I could do this for camera stuff. I
Yeah.
could just go knock on businesses
Yeah.
and be like, hey, you need
Yeah.
camera work?
Yeah.
And it worked, and that's how I got into like the casinos
kidding.
and like doing all kinds of really
Yeah.
big stuff. And now, if anything gets slow, I'm always just like, oh, let's go hit the
Let's
doors,
go.
like But backtracking to what you were saying is, I love that because I used to, just in the last few years, I feel like a big lesson I've been learning is to eradicate fear because, I would get nervous or anxious if like counts fall off, whatever, this or that. And I would be like, I don't know how this is going to work out or that's going to work out, but something would always work out. And it would be based off like you were saying, putting myself in a position through these other things where I'd meet someone else and something else would line up.
Absolutely.
And so now I'm kind of almost wielding that power of like knowing like, something's going to work out for me, and there's no point in having fear because I've gotten this far and I don't know how I got here.
Absolutely. I share that with my kids.
Yeah.
And that's why I say I think being a parent is like the job that I enjoy most, because everything I learn, I'm like, don't do it the way I did it. Like, but part of that is also coaching them through like, you don't need to overthink everything.
Yeah.
I always say that when I'm up against something that makes me feel scared, that's the thing. I'm like, shit, now I got to do this. Like, this is what I have to challenge. I have to challenge myself because it really isn't a big deal. And so it alleviates all those mental blocks. And then you do get to the point where you're like, there's nothing that can really hold me back. You know what I mean? And I mean, that starts even with the first time of just being intimidated on my first hunt, going like, I'm coming out here with a girl. There's all these guys. They're going to laugh at me. What's she doing? Bring this doodle out. And you know what I mean? And I was like, spent a half a day, didn't get one bird down.
Oh, man.
And I was like, I really almost didn't go on that day because I was so afraid of failing and not being good at it, and I know this isn't even about work.
Yeah,
but
life
then
lessons are life
it
lessons.
worked, and then I figured it out, and then I fell in love with it, and then my dog became like a badass dog, and he's a great little sidekick for a hunter, and it is our greatest joy. Like, we have so much fun together, and I think, God, what if I just was like, I'm intimidated, and I'm like, I might look stupid.
Yeah.
It might be hard.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I'd be missing out on so much.
That's all of life, though.
And it really is. And I tell that to my kids, too. It's like, that one thing you just don't try could be the thing that you end up loving. And I've pushed my kids out the door one too many times to go experience things that they didn't either think they would like or whatever.
Yeah.
And it goes both ways. Maybe it was like, that wasn't for them. Cool, but at least you tried it.
Yeah, you tried it and
Yeah.
you got that. I think there's a huge lesson in that like failure experience, like just going through it, like being embarrassed, learning that, because that's how you learn. Like, you know what I mean? Like all the great athletes, right, were not great athletes when they started. They didn't even know how to throw a football or
Right.
whatever, or swing a club or whatever at one point. You
Share
know?
that story about Kobe in camp. I forget. I used to always tell that the story to my kids.
Let's hear it.
Oh, I don't really remember anymore. But like, he went to like a big deal like camp when he was like 11 or whatever, and he wasn't even like the big kid. But he ended up like fallen short. Whatever happened, his dad came to come get him, and he was just like the worst.
Yeah.
And it was a little bit embarrassing for the family name. And then the next year he came back, but he promised that year like he was going to be like the shit when he came back.
Yeah.
And a year later he was the shit. And then, but he learned that like, you know,
You have
what is
to.
that, middle
11,
school?
yeah.
Middle school.
Yeah.
And then he was the shit forever after.
Yeah, forever.
Forever ever after.
Well, you have to, you have
Yeah.
to fail. I think failure, like those painful moments of adversity is what like makes that decisive action. You know, you're like, either you're going to stick with it or it's not like your thing, and either way you learn. But like if you try and fail and you were brave enough and overcame that challenge and did it, and even if it's not for you, you could still take that into the next thing. You could be like, I was brave once before, I could be brave again, you know? It's like one of the affirmations, like, I'm brave, I'm strong.
Absolutely. And maybe universe is just putting you there to meet that person.
Yeah, exactly.
That's going to add to your life in
100%.
one way or another. And
Everything
that
is
happens
connected,
too.
yeah. And like I said, a big thing, and this is probably my biggest takeaway from this year, is like to not have fear anymore. Because fear is almost like this, it's like the imagination. You're like worrying about something that hasn't happened. You're like, it could go that way. But like, what if you just took your imagination and you're like, it could go this way and be
Right.
way better. And it's always worked out anyways. Like I have a
right.
track record, right, of
Yeah,
it working
right.
out.
Yeah.
So like, I don't know. I just feel like even this, like this time of year is always like we have a pretty big fall off. Like we had like 30% revenue fall off like over the last like 45 days, which is like not like the best thing that could happen, right? But I was like, it'll be fine. It'll work
Yeah.
out. Everything always works out. And we have like a full pipeline and everything's going well. And
Good.
so it's just keeping that like
Yeah.
positive energy. And like, and then what's for me, cause I'm kind of a leader in like the organization, right? So I have all these other people that work for us, and I can't like show up and be like, oh, I'm nervous about like,
Right.
no, I'm like, everything's good. Like your checks are
Yeah.
going out. Everyone's getting
Yes.
paid. Don't worry.
Yes.
And it works out. Like, and I think like from a whatever higher power you believe in, my family's Jewish, but like I think about the universe, it's like the universe has to provide to me because I'm providing for other people. And like the universe gives you action in order to give. So it's like, I feel like because I'm giving so abundantly and freely to everybody around me and like making sure that everyone's secure and safe, that the universe has to give to me. Like there's no way, like he's not going to let me, or the universe, God, whatever you want to think, is like not going to let me down because I have to provide for all these people. And so like, that's how I look at it. And it always worked out for me. So, and they have a job, so we're good.
Absolutely. And well, you knowing that,
Yeah.
as opposed to like wondering that, is a big difference too. Like you saying like I know that it's always worked out.
Yeah.
And instead of when I wonder if it will, like there's a power in that in itself. Yeah.
And that's the thing too, is like with like my guys, like even Taylor, everybody, like I have like that's something that they don't have, maybe like they don't understand or have that faith or know how to bring forth opportunity in the way in which I do. And that's what my wife tells me, like what makes me special, because every day I'm like, I don't know how we got here. I am not the sharpest tool in the shed by any means. And
That's fun,
and I think
though.
it's just that power, just knowing that opportunity like wants me or needs me, and I have to, bring it down. And because like we had a really deep talk, because this time of year we start to prepare for like next year, like and set our goals and what we're gonna do. And she's like, well, what do you really, really actually want? Like, why are you doing all this stuff? And I was like, well, I think like I want, for whatever reason, I have a desire to like have a kingdom, like, be a king and like have everything that comes with the kingdom, like feeding everyone, providing for everyone, making sure everyone's safe. And within the kingdom, having like the best like culture ever, like just making sure everyone's happy and living their best life. Because everyone that comes with me, like totally have changed their life.
Isn't that a freaking amazing?
It's
what a great
awesome.
life that is.
I know, right?
And how do people not want that, right?
Well, it's a lot of discipline
like, you're
and
the spreader of
responsibility.
joy.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? And
responsibility and like, because it when I first got into that position of like having like our payrolls were like 30 grand a month, I was like so scared, right? Like I had like a obsessive fear consuming me that I like had a fear I would lose it all, and I couldn't lose it all because of like I had all of them, and it was like, so when I first came into that position of, not that it's powerful, there's like, I'm a small fry in the universe, but like I was so nervous and scared to handle that, and then I had to go through like some valleys to like actually lose it all, and then my team still like stayed with me, and I was like, holy smokes, like you guys believe in me, I'm never gonna let you down. And now that I know that we've like gone through that, it's like, dude, we could get through anything, and it keeps growing, so it's like a blessing, and I'm so excited to just continue to more so just channel positive energy, because you never know where like someone that works with me has a great day, right? And then they go and they have like their kids have a great day, and then their kids go to school and they have a great day, and like maybe someone's going through something, and you never know how far that like positive charge, you know, penetrates through the universe. So like I think that's what like my purpose is, to create the biggest positive charge. And like even this video like that we're making, like someone could watch it and then be like, oh my God, like I never thought of things like that. And it could just spark enough interest for them to change something. And so that's all I'm doing. And I was trying to like expand like the biggest positive charge I can in this lifetime. And I read. Yeah, little by little. I'm a small fry, but I'll, you know.
Aren't we all, though?
Yeah,
really,
we're
aren't we all?
very insignificant.
I mean, unless you're Elon, we all are. Just
I know,
small
right?
fry.
Right. And
I think a short way of saying that, and I've said it to my kids, is, you know, if they're anxious about something, I said, the sun will come up tomorrow. You're not going to die.
Yeah.
I said, and I'll still love you no matter what.
Yeah.
You know, and that's really what you just said. Like, your people still supported you.
Yeah. At
the depths or at the lowest point of the valley, they were behind you.
Yeah.
And you guys just keep making it happen.
Yeah.
You just keep going day by day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You have to. And I mean, I like, again, I read a lot, like a ton. And there's this book, I just grabbed like a few of my favorite books, which I'm kind of.
What book would you give me?
I don't know. What do you want? Like.
I like well, it's just like you were saying. I'm in the same thing. Like, self-development is like key to life. I wish I had more time. I do a lot of flights. I should be reading on flights. Not sleeping.
That's the best. I love reading on flights. I just depends. I don't know. Like, there's a book my first book. I make my guys read, because I'm like, there's no way you can be your best self if we're not developing, and we can't give our best energy to our clients if you're not. So we do like weekly calls where we go through like a chapter that we read or make them listen. Yeah, if you want to.
Can I work for you? Will you hire me? You have to put I want to be part of the group.
Yeah, you should join in the calls. That would be kind of cool. But so Happy Pocket Full of Money is like a really good book that I kind of start everyone on.
I think, was it an Asian guy who wrote that?
I think so, yeah.
I've seen podcasts with him being interviewed.
Yeah.
I like him.
Happy Pocket Full of Money.
I haven't read the book. I know which book it is, though.
Yeah, he's really cool. I think he's a Japanese dude.
Yeah,
but
he is. And he wears like aloha shirts and stuff. He's always got something on. Yeah, I know who that is. Yeah, I haven't read his book, but I've heard him in podcasts. I'm like, I need to do that. So that'll be to the top of my list.
Yeah, reading. I mean, I just love it because it expands your consciousness.
Yeah.
Like, and you could grow with your expanded consciousness, like, the sky's the limit. And anyways, I was saying is there's this book called Gene Simmons wrote. It's called Gene Simmons on Power. Have you ever heard of it? It's an amazing book, and it pretty much just talks about power and influence. And I think a lot of people misunderstand the word power, like turns people off. But like power is like, influence and energy, and able to like shift your things in the universe. And so like if I could develop more power, I could make a positive charge. And so like I'm just growing my influence and my power, and then just utilizing it. And you know, and you have to use the power that you have to get to like what you need to do. And so it's like a financier, right? Like an investor has to invest the money he has to get more money. And so you have to use your resources, your tools, your powers, where your current position, and it'll take you to like where you need to go. So you can't like get there without exercising the power.
I like that. I like that. So
that's
another book?
Yeah, Gene Simmons on Power. It's amazing. It's probably one of my favorite books.
You're going to have to text that one to me.
Or you can listen to audiobooks. I love audiobooks too.
I do too.
So I listen to audiobooks, and then I read, and I'm double timing. So I like anytime I can hear in the gym or like in the car, I'm audiobooking, and then at home I usually read like the last hour of the day.
See, this is a good reminder. I used to listen to audiobooks in the gym all the time, and then it'd be like really good, and I wouldn't want to stop. So I'm like, I'm not going home now. This book, like, I'm getting something. So I'd actually still work out, or even like the house would be a little extra clean.
Yeah, you're like listening to it like
right
you're
now.
going.
I'm doing this. This is getting good.
Yeah,
I need to do that.
I love
to, like,
that.
listen to audiobooks again. It's been a while. Thank you for the reminder.
I think just information is power, right? Like, and there's been like a monopoly on like information. Like, I think people. The powers that be don't want you to be educated or whatever, you know. But now it's so accessible, and then you have to apply obviously your information. You can't just like be the smartest monk and not like expect to have.
Right.
But also success is totally subjective. It's like if you are a monk and you're super expanded consciously, but you don't want material things, like that's cool too. Like that's a success.
Absolutely.
You know. So I don't know.
Agreed.
So how would you define success? Last question. We've already been an hour. Can you believe it?
Yeah. No way.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. So before I answer that question, how I define success, just so you know, when you said like, hey, do you want to do a podcast? My initial thought was like, what do I have to share? Like, oh God, no. And
You
like,
had so much to
there was
share.
like a fear, like an instant first thought is like fear, like, oh, it wouldn't be any good. And I'm so glad we did this. So thank you for
That's
the invite.
amazing, right?
And yes, it's been a pleasure. How do I define success? For me, and then this is going to be so cheesy.
No.
Gosh, it is. But for me, it's just that being in joy and balance. That's success for me. It's not the dollar. You got to have that to get through life. But usually, if you can find that place where you're in joy and you have that balance, you're usually pretty good between work and life. And my heart is so full. And I've had more money in my life, and I've had a whole lot less. And I think that I feel more successful now than I ever have in life and at life. And I think for me, part of figuring that out is we all say this and we all know this. It's easier said than done, but being present in whatever it is that you're doing really changes the game.
Yeah.
So when I'm at work, I'm fully at work, and when I'm playing, I'm fully playing. I'm playing hard.
Yeah.
And I think that's helped me. And now it's just a way of life for me.
Yeah.
And but I find that to be, if I think about my life on like an overall, like what is success, I feel like I'm living it.
Let's go.
I'm living it because I'm in joy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love it. Thank
Yeah.
you for taking the time, Cheyenne.
You're
I appreciate it. Where can the people
welcome.
find you?
This is fabulous. Okay, so my work Instagram is at FOREVER YOUNG Swimwear.
Okay.
And then my personal is one shy. But even like on TikTok, like my TikTok is FOREVER YOUNG Swimwear. It's my full life. Like I have everything on there from, everything. It's good, bad, and the ugly. Like we have some on there that would go viral, and it looks like my daughter and I have like the worst relationship. But people just started to like, okay, this is how I'll never be famous. But in the one time that I had like a viral thing happen, it's like people inject and project on you, and they think
so
they know
much.
you,
Yeah.
and it's like so far from the truth.
Yeah.
And then like the comments started getting like nuts
Oh,
and crazy.
yeah.
Like there was they started finding me in other places in life. It was like absolutely crazy. So that
Yeah.
social media is wild, but
That's-
I lay it all out there though.
Yeah.
I am who I am, and I am shameless about it. Like
Yeah, you have to be.
I really am, and so I converge. I let them cross over my personal life and my work life. So you'll see a little bit of everything when you go there. The website's foreveryoungswimwear.com. If you guys are looking for some bikinis, go.
Yeah,
We have new stuff coming out in
2025,
January,
yeah.
February. So just don't go now. Wait for the sun to shine, and you'll be happy.
Let's
But
go.
Yeah, so that's where I'm at.
That's amazing. I have one last
Yeah.
point I almost
Yeah.
want to make, and
Yeah.
I want to hear your perspective because
Okay.
you have children. So
Okay.
this might go another 15 minutes.
Yeah, okay.
But
This is my game. Yeah.
So
let's go.
go just to piggyback on the viral content and like people like projecting their fears, insecurities, or just like hatred. Just one, it's because I think they're so like limited in control. Like their life is probably terrible, and that's the only control they have is to like spew hate. And
Yeah.
like we're normal people, right? And I have stuff go viral all the time, and my wife will have that like fear of it, and sometimes there's a comment that'll like trigger me, and I'm like,
Nice.
oh,
Yeah.
gotta let it go. Like, whoa,
Yeah.
that hate got a little close to my heart.
Yeah.
But that's a whole skill.
Yeah.
And so we were reading, like we take walks around our neighborhood, and she said like Chip and Joanna Gaines like didn't let their children have like phones
Oh,
or
right.
social media until they were like 16.
Yeah.
Because of like the emotional triggers of like mean comments and stuff
Right.
like that. And with your children, have you like noticed like any like has that like affected their lives or like how they behave or anything?
I think it was fascinating because when it happened to me, my youngest was probably 8 or 9, and my kids being teenagers at the time and in their early 20s, like they know who I am,
Yeah.
and I know who I am, and they could see it being black and white. Like we know who you are as a person and how we've lived our lives, and this is what's being projected on social media.
Yeah.
And it's so far from reality, so far from truth
Yeah.
that like they were able to be like, wow, must be what like some of the celebrities are talking about.
Right.
Like, you know what I mean? When they get slammed for stuff, or
Yeah.
people just project their own shit and their life experiences and assume that that's what's going on in that house or those people.
Yeah.
And so I think that they have a strong and clear mindset when it comes to it. I don't. It's really hard to offend me, to be honest with you. I mean, that's one of the beauties about getting older too. Like
Yeah.
getting into your like 40s, I'm almost 50. I'm closing in that gap there real quick. Ah, God, it is so wonderful to not care what people think.
Yeah.
But that comes with the security of knowing who you are.
Right.
Right. And so I think I think the kids have been able to watch that. Like, you teach by leading, and I think to lead my home in that way with a strong sense of who I am has played into their lives and who they are.
Right.
And I think that at the end of the day, if something hit them as hard as like what I got hit,
Yeah.
we would probably go through the comments and laugh more than we would cry.
Yeah.
Because we do know, right?
Yeah.
And I think that if you didn't know, or you were that person, then you were ugly, or you were like, piece of shit.
Yeah.
You might be a little offended and be like, I want to strike back. But
Yeah.
I think just, knowing who you are, it's more like, and you can't get through. Like, I said my piece, and if you don't want to hear it,
Yeah.
like, it's on you.
Yeah.
Like, it's like you go to sleep however you want to go to sleep, angry and mad.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go to bed with a smile on my face.
Yeah, and I love my
because I know who I am. I'm
Yeah.
good. You know what I mean?
That's-
And so, but you having that experience and being okay with it,
Yeah.
that's an example for your daughter.
Yeah.
If she ever does see it or come across it or see you go through that and be like, why would somebody talk to you like that, Dad? You're the
awesome.
king. You're the king
Yeah,
of the
yeah.
kingdom. You're great.
Yeah.
Like, she's gonna know, like,
Yeah.
like, that's not her shit. That's not her bag of
Well,
shit.
It's just terrible that there are like maybe not people as secure as ourselves, and they get that, and it like impacts them. So it is dangerous, like,
Oh, and I don't dismiss that.
Yeah.
I don't dismiss that, and we're not all coming from the same place, so
Right.
I can speak for myself and my household.
Right.
But it shouldn't be done.
Yeah.
Gosh, it is.
It's terrible,
It
but
is
it's
something.
all right.
How do people have that much time? Because here's the other part about it, and the way I see it is like, I actually don't have time to care.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
I don't have the energy.
Right.
So caring about somebody who doesn't know me, what they think about me, like, it dwindles my energy, and I only have
Yeah.
so much. I
Yeah,
have
we
so much
got
to give. And I
stuff-
want to
yeah,
direct
we
that
got
into
our
good
family,
places.
yeah.
So I just can't direct it into the negativity.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't understand. For anybody out there who enjoys doing that, like, can you imagine? Like, can I ask you, if you put as much energy and hate, and of the hate that you put it or spew, like, anybody out there who can ever hear this, like, that gets pissed off and leaves negative comments to make somebody else feel bad.
Yeah.
What if you just did that and spent that energy doing something good?
Constructive.
Just do that for a week and
Yeah.
then see how you feel. I don't know.
I think you'd feel a lot better.
Yeah, and I'm sure everybody who listens to you are all good people, and they're like, not for me.
Oh, yeah, I don't know.
No,
We'll
but no, I'm sure of it. I know you're
The butthole of the internet. The internet is just like a vast
Yeah.
void that
Yeah.
like we're just perpetuating
Yeah.
through.
Hopefully, we said something controversial enough that this will,
it'll go.
we'll catch them, and they can
Well,
get that one line from it.
Cheyenne,
You know
it's
what?
been amazing. The
Yay.
people can find you. Forever Young Swimwear. Is that the
Yeah,
website?
Yeah, Forever Young Swimwear.
There you go. 2025. I want to see all the ladies in the
dropping
Forever
some new stuff in
Young. Let's
February.
go.
Keep a lookout.
Let's
Yeah,
go.
it's gonna be fun. So it was
Amazing.
a pleasure.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.